Welcome to Catching Up with Nina, our podcast series where we discuss issues relative and pertinent to Michigan principals. This is Nina Davis, your Associate Director of Member Services and Engagement at Michigan Association of Secondary School Principals. Sit back, relax, and enjoy today's chat. Welcome back. I am so excited today to have Mr. Joe Greene, principal of North Farmington High School, here today. He is also our MASSP Principal of the Year for 2021. So welcome, Joe.
Thank you, Nina. It's great to be here.
So can you start, Joe, just by talking to us a little bit about who you are as a person? Tell us your educational background journey, and then talk about the current position that you're in.
Yeah, sure. So I figured out late in my senior year of college that if I wanted to change the world, going into government and politics and law wasn't going to do it. That would only cement change. That the only real way to create change in the world is through education and cultivating good human beings through education. So I had a history, philosophy, double major. Decided to take a year and travel Europe and North Africa for a bit to get my head kind of sorted out and figure out where I want to go. Applied to grad school and came back and got my master's in curriculum education and instructional planning and ed psychology, and at Loyola University in Chicago. And then I kind of lucked out through the dean of that graduate school, got into a very diverse high school in the northwest suburbs of Chicago, right on the edge of the city. So always worked in a very diverse atmosphere as a social studies teacher for 7 years. And then as a social studies, world language and ELL division head and teaching 2 classes, which was an interesting mix. And then from there to associate principal for instruction, and then moved here to Michigan to North Farmington to become principal at North Farmington. And all along the way, really, this journey was about just trying to help both the students and the adults around me grow into their best potential and help them feel safe, welcome, ready, and able to learn. And really just trying to cultivate the potential they have within them. Aside from that, I'm a father of 2 amazing boys, and I try to keep up with my amazing wife, Ariel. And that's about who I am. And that's my journey. Does that kind of cover the basis for you?
That absolutely covers it. And that's awesome. You have such an interesting background. It's funny, as I do these interviews, I find that, people have these diverse, wide-ranging backgrounds. And, it's so great to have those type of experiences in education, because we want to bring different perspectives and different experiences to our students. So I'm going to jump on into this. You are the MASSP 2021 Principal of the Year. And this is such an incredible honor. And I'd like to take the time just to personally congratulate you first and foremost. In the last year, have you been able to fully grasp the level of your success as a principal with this honor? So I guess, was there ever a wow moment for you on this journey?
Yeah, I don't know that I've completely wrapped my head around this at this point. I still get kind of sheepish when I hear it. And that's not false humility, right? Like, it's just my students and some staff members recommended me or nominated me, and I made it through the process. And it was really nice to see all the work that we've done collectively here honored. I get the tremendous, amazing honor of the title, but it's really the collective work of all of us here at North, students and staff and myself. So it's a tremendous honor, both to have it from MASSP, but then also the fact that it honors the work we've been doing for about a decade here. And it's still hard to wrap my head around. It was pretty awesome to receive it in the midst of a pandemic during the hardest time of any of our careers, as I talked to my peers. So I think this really was, the wow moment was, this was really humbling. It kind of helped me grasp what we've done, where I would like us to go, what we've accomplished, and the more that we need to do. And it really kind of framed for me that the work we do is worth it. It's hard. It's nice to be honored for it, but there's always more that we can do to help those around us, if that makes sense.
Absolutely makes sense. And I'm glad you mentioned, I was going to mention in the middle of a pandemic. I mean, how validating is that with all of the hard work and, struggles that everyone, you mentioned your staff and students as well went through. So total validation, to receive that during that time. As part of your tenure as principal of the year, you traveled to Washington, D.C. to represent Michigan with all of the other state winners at the National Association of Secondary School Principals. Can you talk a little bit about this experience? What was that like?
The Trailblazing Leadership Week was unbelievable. It was a fantastic trip. Um, to be able to be there were probably about 40 of us from different states, and then probably another dozen to 15 that were previous winners. Okay. And this was a very new experience. It's the first time they put it together like this. And so one of the most powerful things was they had the top 25 winners of the NHS national scholarships there with us. Oh, wow. And so when we went to the Department of Education to meet with Secretary Cardona and his staff, the students were with us, and they got time to meet with the secretary as well. We were able to collaborate and brainstorm, some of the best administrators in the country with some of the best students in the country to tackle kind of issues we're all struggling with and growth we wanted to create in our schools. So that was just a tremendous activity. And then the workshops and the learning that they put together for all of us and the ability to kind of just share ideas, programs, struggles we have was tremendous. I mean, it's some of the greatest minds running schools in the country. So to be able to just compare notes, I think one of the most profound things for our members in the MASSP is that so many of the things we've been struggling with, especially now during the pandemic, aren't little O our problems that belong to our particular school. They really are big O our problems, like nationwide. Mm-hmm. Like we are all of us seeing the same challenges. Exhausted staff that are pressed too far and asked too much of, ourselves pressed too far and asked too much of. Students who are still trying to figure out how to do school. Students that are still recovering from trauma, both from just the reaction to the pandemic and isolation, to going virtual, to losing relatives, to all of the social upheaval that we've had to face on racial, ethnic, gender-based, class-based lines. Like we're all dealing with all of this. And it was pretty powerful for all of us to sit down and talk and understand the context of the students we're dealing with and where our staff are. I mean, from profound things like this year, our seniors, the last full year of school they were freshmen. Right. Our juniors, they were 8th graders. Our sophomores, they were 7th, and our freshmen were 6th graders the last full year of school they had. And now our incoming freshmen, this really blew our minds when we stopped to think about it. Their last full year of school was 5th grade with one teacher and like 22 kids, right? And they never really had middle school. And so talking about trying to grapple with and dealing with all of this was one of the best things that came out of that week. And there's a networking group that we've started where we can go to and ask each other questions, dig in, find out what each other's doing. That was really powerful, that networking piece. And just to hear the different things people have done to try to meet their students' needs. And then they had a number of other pieces for us to be able to kind of understand things that are going on in DC, understand things that are going on with NASSP and our state organizations. We talked about how we can better network our state organizations with the NASSP. It was an unbelievable week, and they're planning on doing that for each successive class going forward. Okay. So I know Nicole, who received it this year, and congratulations to her, super well deserved. She's going to have an amazing opportunity to be a part of this program. And I think it's probably one of the most rewarding professional development pieces I've had.
That sounds phenomenal. And those great minds all collectively together, I'm sure you guys were able to solve some of the world's issues.
I'd like to say we did, but it was more just kind of brainstorming and figure things out, right? And
exactly. Well, that's how it all starts.
Yep.
So let's shift and talk a little about mentors, as I firmly believe in paying respect to those that helped make us all great in our pursuit. Are there mentors or people you looked up to who helped in the success of Joe Greene that you'd like to shout out today?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's kind of funny. When I talk to my students when we do college signings, I always bring that up that, hey, there's people that have contributed to your success along the way. And I'm so used to asking them that question.
Right.
When I saw this in preparation for this, I was like, I got to remember, this is not the easiest question I'm asking, right? Kids to do.
Right.
Um, I think there's a number of folks, from my mom,
Yeah.
and the fact that she spent her life finding the potential and always seeing the best in other people, even when they were at their worst.
Mhm.
That's just been a huge part of what drives me. My father's work ethic and sacrifice to improve the lives of people around him. Um, I think too, my first grade teacher, Mrs. Phillips, and Mrs. Sugarman, they were combined teachers, and they planted a seed in my head that that I could do anything I put my mind to. And so to be able to bring that forward for other students is huge. I owe a massive debt to my former boss, the principal at former principal at Rolling Meadows High School in Illinois, now superintendent at Glenbrook
Okay.
Township District. Charles Johns, Dr. Johns is awesome. He and one of our colleagues, Howard McMacken, shaped me more than I could ever explain to them. As a leader, as an educator, they really pushed me to do some pretty awesome stuff, and got me to really just drive myself to be better and better.
Mhm.
So I owe a lot to them. And then I think too, just trying to really live up to the staff that I have in this building, and meet their needs and support them and appreciate them, and meet them where they're at, and keep doing the great work we're doing. And I think too, I would be super remiss. My boys, Nate and Gabe, sacrifice a lot of time with me to be able to do this job, but they understand it and they're super supportive, and they learn a lot. We learn a lot from each other, how I can be a stronger principal, and then also how they can be strong students. And then my wife, Ariel, really, thank heaven she's a former educator.
Okay.
She's a realtor now and very good at it, but she understands the life.
Yeah.
Um, and so the model she sets for our family just really drives me to want to be better, and better. So that would kind of be the list of folks I think of right now.
And what a great list that was. I just have to mention, I love that your family was a part of that, because I think it's so important that we as educational leaders have that home work life balance. And our families do, as you mentioned, have to be so patient with us and in the lifestyle that you live. So I just love that, that was a part of your mentors as well. So let's talk about, is there anything else that you would like to share with aspiring and current leaders across the state? Do you have any words of inspiration for those thinking about careers in educational leadership?
Yeah, this is one of the toughest things to do in the world, is to be an educator right now. There's more asked of us than ever before. And it's not easy, and it's hard, and it's stressful, and it's exhausting. Um, and that sounds awful when you describe it that way, right?
Absolutely.
But at the end of the day, it's one of the most rewarding things you can possibly do.
Yes.
Right now, our world is in so much in need of people that can think critically, analytically, and empathetically. If we're ever going to heal the divides that exist in our country, in the world, if we're ever going to get people to see human beings as human beings instead of artificial differences that we ascribe meaning to, if we're ever going to help each person just live a fulfilling life, the only way we do that is through education.
Mhm.
And so all the work we do is worth it. It is hard, but we're gardeners of human potential. There's toil in that, right? We can't do the growing, but we have to construct the best circumstances we can for kids. and adults, and we have to help them deal with the adversity when it falls in the soil and stir that in so it can feed it. And we got to help keep them in the light and away from the mold and the grossness on the side, and help them make good decisions, and help them learn to pop their thorns when they need to protect themselves, and when to show their petals and blossoms when they need to do that, right? And if we do that, we can craft a world that's just a little more humane, a little better each bit. And I just think that there's no more noble thing you could do. It is the cornerstone of each society. It's the cornerstone of our democracy. It's the way to just help good people grow. So yes, if you're willing to put all that in, if you're willing to tilt at windmills like Don Quixote, and just try to do things that will make the world better, this is the career for you. And I think for our colleagues, lean on the MASSP, lean on the NASSP. The things that these groups afford us, these jobs are lonely and difficult, but our organizations can provide an immense amount of support, an immense amount of collective wisdom. They can help us navigate things. They can help us maintain some balance. And you've done this kindly for me a couple times in this interview already, right? Like even just referencing the importance of understanding the need for balance or the chaos of the job. And so I think making sure that you make the most of your MASSP and NASSP memberships are huge. They can help you grow. I'm grateful for the MASSP. To be honest, their support for me to be able to go to Washington, D.C. was fantastic. It really made it a powerful experience. And it's enriched me. And I look forward to bringing that back and sharing some of that with the MASSP and my colleagues.
Yes.
So yeah, if you're willing to make the world a little better place, and you're willing to put in the blood, sweat, tears, and effort to help other people grow, you can't do anything better or more noble.
So we need to get you a whole campaign for educational recruitment in the state of Michigan, because I think you've got your platform right there.
Trying. That was actually something they got all of the principals of the year on a podcast, or not a podcast, forgive me, on a Zoom call with Secretary Cardona earlier, probably about 7-8 months ago. And that was the thing we brought up, is that most of us are going to lose about 50% of our staff in the next 3 to 5 years. There's a lot of people who are retiring early. They bought years, they're in a position because of the toll that the job has taken on. And there's not a lot of people in the pipeline. And we brought that up as that is one of the greatest challenges we have right now, is we need to find a way to get the greatest minds and greatest hearts to be willing to go into education. And we have to find ways to make that a rewarding career, and one where they're not just kind of looked at with scorn or looked down upon, but they are seen as the people who help build our society. And we've got to find a way to do that. We have to find a way to bring the best and the brightest into education for the state of Michigan, for our country, for the world. It's the most important thing I think we can do, to be honest.
We absolutely have to. I think that's, like you said, it's a non-negotiable for us to move forward. So you've already touched on this question a little bit, but I wanted to talk to you about, what does your MASSP membership mean to you? If someone was debating becoming a member, what could you share with them about what you've gained by being a member?
I think from the news updates we get, from the legal updates we get that synthesize things, they're well crafted. Our lives are busy. They give us a quick, very precise way to understand what's going on in the state of Michigan and around us. Being able to be part of the Leader to Leader network and be able to participate in those meetings, and to be able to go back and watch those is huge. To be able to take advantage of EdCon and grow. Like, there are pieces here where there are all these opportunities to push our growth, to challenge ourselves, paying attention to which workshops come up, sending your assistant principals to workshops early on to help groom them in their leadership. These are all pieces that I think are absolutely vital, and you should take advantage of. Even calling when you need advice. The MASSP staff has been phenomenal. Anytime you have to tackle stuff, you're not alone. And it gives you another lens outside of your own district where you can go to for advice. Potentially, you might be navigating something with some political contexts, or some organizational contexts, or some legal contexts, and you need advice. The MASSP is a great place to go for that. I think also the advocacy role of MASSP is huge. They are a voice for us, absolutely, in Lansing. And I think too, the MASSP then through MASSP and through your own stuff can be a voice for us in Washington and nationwide. So please take advantage of stuff. Make time to attend the workshops, to sign up for stuff. There's so much great content produced by MASSP. You won't have enough time to exhaust it, but please avail yourself. There's stuff that can always, always help you grow.
Thank you. So we're almost done here, Joe. I have 2 signature questions I like to ask each person that I interview. So my first question to you is, if you had the ear of every person in the world, what one thing would you want them to know about the specific work that you do and or the work of school staff in general?
Oh, okay. Not going with the easy question, right? I kind of harken back to what I was saying before. I would just want the world to know how difficult and demanding this work really is, and the expertise and care and passion that it requires, but also just to know the importance. Like, not everybody can teach and be an educator, right?
Right.
But we all need teachers and educators in our lives. Each of us has had somebody be a catalyst that helped us grow, that helped us find our potential, that helped us realize what we could do. Just believe in teachers, support administrators, believe in them, work with them, collaborate, believe that this is the most important work in the country. While we were in DC, I got to meet with one of my first students ever. He's now a successful lobbyist in DC.
Oh, wow.
And he shared with me a conversation we had in my first year of teaching that had an impact on him and altered the course of his life and what he was sharing. And it was a powerful reminder that brought me to tears at the time, kind of choking me up at the moment. Just to know that that's the impact educators have, that they can help people build an amazing life. We didn't do it, but we might have helped plant the seed or start the idea, and to see what people can do and the amazing things they go on to do in the world is awesome. So please have faith, believe in teachers, believe in educators, inspire the best to go into it, and then just support education. We need to do better to support teachers, administrators, and schools.
Okay, final question. If you had the power to make one dream in education come true, this is your just one wish question. No matter how massive or small, what would that dream be?
Oh my gosh. I'd want to know the flexible and adaptable plan that schools could use to ensure that each individual, whether it's an adult or a student in the building, can feel safe, welcome, heard, and valued, so that they're able to learn and thrive. If we could figure out how to do that, my gosh, it would be pretty amazing. If we can even make progress on that, pretty amazing. On top of that, if you paid teachers what they're worth relative to their peers with similar degrees, that would probably be the second one, because that's really why we're losing people. The best and the brightest can go make a lot more doing other stuff with lesser degrees than most of our staff have.
Yes.
But yeah, I would go in that order for if I had that power to get either of those two things.
Great. Well, I, again, can't thank you enough for taking this time to talk with me today. It has been truly an honor to recognize you. Again, congratulations. We are so proud of you and your success. But just thank you again, Joe Greene, for taking the time to chat today.
You're most welcome. Thank you. Thanks for this honor. And thanks again to the MASSP and our students, my staff, the folks that were involved in the nomination process. It is indeed the greatest honor of my career. I'm super grateful and humbled. So thank you. And thanks for this opportunity. I enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you. Have a great rest of the year.
You too. Thank you.